I'm a divorced single dad, father of 5 kids. It can be tough raising kids today. Believe me, there are high times and low times. It comes with the territory. But in all my years of parenting, I try to give some good advice. Advice for those parents who are out there willing to listen. My name is Price Van Ray, and welcome to my show. Today we're going to be talking about boundaries for self-worth. But first, I want to congratulate all the new parents out there. Boy, are you in for the time of your life. This is an exciting time and a great adventure, so cherish every moment. Now, on with the show. So that's right, today we're going to be talking about boundaries for self-worth. I mean, this is something we want to teach our kids. You know, they need this advice, and as well as everybody else too. I mean, let's face it, we were children at one time in our lives. And we had people who would teach us what to do, how to act, what was important. And we had someone tell us, if we did not figure it out, boundaries for self-worth. So one thing we need to understand is mistakes make you human. This is something we need to tell our kids. You are not going to be perfect all the time. It is impossible. If you think you're going to be perfect, you're fighting an uphill battle. Let's face it, perfection, it'd be nice to be perfect, but it just can't happen because we, as people, as human beings, are imperfect sometimes. We do make mistakes. We fall and we lose balance. We can't always be on our feet. But hopefully when we fall, someone is there to catch us. Mistakes make you human. That's just the way life is. That's the way it is, and you have to remember that. Especially with children, you have to explain this to them. Mistakes make you human. I remember when I was younger, I took a math test. On the page, I had so many answers wrong. Were they mistakes or were they something else? What were they really? I guess we could say they were learning experiences because we can always learn from our mistakes, and that's where we do the biggest learning. Of course we do. Mistakes. It's true, it makes you human. And we learn from them too. Boundaries for self-worth. You need to know and teach your kids they are worth it. They have worth. Everybody has worth. We are a valuable asset in the world, each and every one of us, because all of us have a golden heart. Another one is other people's opinions aren't fact. If somebody's judging you, come on, you know who you are. You should find out who you are. You should tell your kid, listen, somebody called you dumb. Well, come on, do you think you're dumb? Do you? You know how to tie your shoe. You know how to get dressed. You know how to feed yourself. Come on. Tell your child they're not dumb. Tell your child they're not ugly. Give them self-worth. And tell them they have personal boundaries for self-worth. Don't let somebody define who you are by an opinion that is not based on real facts. And let's face it, nobody's really stupid. I'm going to tell you, other people's opinions, it's a dime a dozen. Unfortunately, you can listen to them, or you can listen to yourself. This is what you have to tell your child. Listen to yourself. Sure, if you want to take other people's opinion into account, well, that's fine, that's one thing. If you want to listen, anybody can listen. But when it becomes toxic, detrimental, harmful, negative, are those the kinds of opinions you want to listen to? Is that the environment you want to be around? Imagine yourself in a burning room. Tell your child, you're in a house that's burning. Everything's crumbling down. You want to be in that house? No, because you'll get burned. You'll be scarred. Imagine that burning houses, other people's opinions. You don't want to be in that kind of environment, do you? Tell your child that. Do you really want to be in a burning house? No, you don't. Boundaries for self-worth. Your child is definitely worth it, and so are you. Everyone has their worth, believe me. And you need to tell your child you don't need approval. You don't have to have approval. Somebody invites you to a party, and you say, how do I look? Do I look okay? Sure, like I said, it's okay to get somebody's opinion, maybe, but it's not fact. You don't need their approval. If you think you look good, you look good. Tell your child you have to have that confidence. And confidence is something you really do have to teach. Put a child in situations where they can build that confidence. Ants love to build huge mounds. I mean, if you walk in the summertime, you just look in the dirt, you can see these mountains of ant hills. Well, they build it piece by piece until they get a nice, big, strong ant hill. It's like confidence. Takes a long time, maybe, but piece by piece, grain by grain, build that confidence with your child, because they need that in life. They definitely do. You know, when it comes to self-worth, you need to say it's okay if you inconvenience people. I don't mean be a jerk. Tell your kid don't be a jerk about it, but you know what? Sometimes things do happen. You forget an important appointment. You forget to do something. Or you want to go somewhere just on the way. Somebody's just a little bit put out with inconvenience. Sometimes you have to understand something like that. I'm not saying it has to be a habit, because that's habitual. You don't want something like that. But it is okay sometimes if you inconvenience people, because you do have needs too. Tell your child your needs are just as important as somebody else's, but you have to figure it out. I'm a big component of communications. You have to have that communication. You have a line of communication. There's nothing you can't do. But communication is a two-way street. You have to listen too. Talk and listen and talk. You both got to be on the same page, of course. Self-worth, you have to tell your child, listen, you are not a failure. No one's a failure. You know, I hate it when I hear people say, I feel like a failure. Or if they say, I'm only 25 and I haven't done anything with my life, I'm a failure. Listen, as long as you try, you're not a failure. You can try and still you may not succeed to where you want to be, but that doesn't make you a failure. It makes you someone who's not a quitter, because the only one who fails is a quitter. There's a story of Thomas Edison. I love this story. I guess Thomas Edison was creating the light bulb, and when he finally made it, a reporter went up to him and said, "Hey, Mr. Edison." So he made the light bulb. Yeah, he says, "What's it feel like to be a failure? You failed 1,001 times making the light bulb." Thomas Edison, he looked at the man and said, "Listen, I didn't fail 1,001 times making a light bulb. I found 1,001 times how not to make a light bulb." I love that story. When I'm feeling like I fail a little bit, I think about that. I think about that story in my head and I play it over and over. That gives me strength, gives me inspiration. I sit there and say, I'm not a failure. You know why? Because I didn't quit. Because as soon as you quit, well, then you failed. You need to tell your child, never quit something. When you do sports, sure, somebody comes in first place, but somebody comes in second, third, and fourth. That doesn't mean they really lost because they didn't quit. They trained. They worked hard. And only one person can get first place. But tell your kid to respect yourself enough to know that you started and you finished. That's what's really important. And you had fun. I tell your kid fun is a big part of it. You always want to have fun. Boundaries for self-worth. Tell your child, you got to stand up for yourself. And this is very hard, even as an adult, because people will walk all over you. There will be nasty people in your life, evil, disgusting, vile, toxic, dirty little people in your life from childhood, and you can get them in adult too, believe me. I've seen some people like that as an adult. And it's sad. But you got to stand up for yourself. If you don't stand up for yourself, you'll fall for anything. And you don't want people walking all over your child. Tell them, listen, just try to stand up for yourself. I mean, I'm not saying go fight, go have a war. Yeah, I remember somebody asked me between a lion and a gorilla, if they were to fight, which one wins? I said no one. No one wins a fight. You both lose. But you got to stand up for yourself. And walking away doesn't mean you're a coward. It means you got strength. You just don't want to put up with it. And you're standing up for yourself. If you're in a room full of mosquitoes trying to suck your blood and bite you, you don't want to be bothered with it, walk away. There will be a time when you have to tell your child you do have to walk away. Otherwise, you don't have to take that kind of abuse, all those bites from those tiny little nasty mosquitoes. Walk away. There's no shame in that game, believe me. Boundaries for self-worth. Tell your child, listen, I love you and you belong. That's right, you belong. You belong to the family pack. You belong to your circle of friends. You belong to people who love you and who care about you. You belong. Tell them they have boundaries for self-worth. You belong. That's it. The bond of love. You have to tell your child when it comes to personal boundaries for self-worth, people don't have to like you. I guess you don't have to like people. But people don't have to like you. There's always going to be somebody out there who may not like you. And you know why? Because you're being you. It's just the way it is. Sometimes people don't click. People are like puzzles. And some pieces just don't fit together. I mean, you can't fit a square inside of a circle. Thank goodness there's a lot of squares and there's a lot of circles. But unfortunately, people don't have to like you. And you can't force them. You got to respect that. Tell your child that you got to respect it. If somebody doesn't like you, don't force it. Don't make them try to like you. That's not good. I have 3 cats. 2 of them are strays. One of them I had since they were a baby. But the strays were kittens. And I'd like to say these cats are really grateful that I'm in their life. But they don't really snuggle up to me and give me the kind of love I want. But that's okay, because they're cats. Is there a little bit of jealousy there when it comes to my son and their cats? Yeah, their cats are lovable. They sleep with them. They purr all the time when they pet them. But listen, my cats, they don't have to like me. For my cats do respect me. I mean, they don't scratch me. They're not vicious. And they love me in their own way. So, tell your child, people don't have to like you. But try to get that respect. People should have some kind of respect. Remember, it is okay to fail, and it will happen. Like I said before, failing is a part of life. Doesn't mean you're a failure. It's just a part of life, and you learn from it. And even though you want to evolve and progress is not perfection. It's a work in progress, I guess. We all want to progress to something great. I mean, that's like the goal, isn't it? You want to be better than you were yesterday. You want to be better than you were last year. You want to be better than you were when you were a child. You want to evolve. You want to be the best version of yourself you can be. Some people say that's why we're here, to be better, to evolve. I mean, if you're a seed, you water that seed, it grows into a huge flower. And then the seeds fall off and it grows their seeds, little babies. You want to progress. And I'm sure 500 years ago in my gene pool, hopefully, I progressed more than somebody back then. It's called life. That's what it's called. Boundaries for self-worth. That's what we're talking about today. And remember, these are things you have to teach your child. You can apply them to your life too, because you have self-worth, and I'm sure you have boundaries too. Personal boundaries, personal space. Boundaries for self-worth. And now, it's story time. A father had 2 sons. He was poor and had no money, but did have 2 seeds that were his most valuable gifts. He sat his first son down and told him to take the seed from his hand and plant it in the most fertile place he knew. It was hot that day, and the son really wanted to play with his friends. But he did as his father asked and found a piece of land miles away that was fertile. Then he planted the seed in the fertile dirt near a stream, where it could get plenty of water and grow nice and strong. The father then told his second son the same thing. And that son wanted to play with his friends, and wanting that more than his father's wish, he took the seed to a nearby cliff and threw it over an embankment, where there was nothing but sand, rocks, and boulders. Years later, the sons grew up and became men. They wanted to get married and raise a family, but they had no home to build for a family that they so desperately wanted. The father, still poor, knew that this day would come and told the sons that he had planned this a long time ago. He told them to go to the place where they had planted the seed years before, and there will be a surprise waiting for them. The first son went to the stream and found that the seed he had planted years before had rooted and grown into a huge, beautiful house. The second son went to the cliff where he had thrown the seed and found that the seed had not taken root. There was nothing for him. We have children and we give them seeds all through their life. It is our hope and our dreams that the seeds we plant in them will take root and grow into something amazing. All we can do as parents is our best. And when it comes to our kids, the best is yet to come. I want to thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Rate and review this podcast and share it with your family and friends. I hope you leave with something positive. I will see you next time here. And remember this one last bit of advice. Tomorrow is never promised. So don't go to bed angry at your child or at anyone you love. And before you go to bed tonight, hug your child and tell them, "I will love you forever, Dad." See you next time here on Forever Dad.